Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're looking for recommendations on what manhwa to read, then here are some that I've read recently that might be of interest. Manhwa titles are timestamped in the video for your convenience. Our first manhwa for today is The Academy's Undercover Professor, a fantasy manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 93 on. Its main character is initially unknown to us, but after a devastating train event that left a particular person incapable of continuing their purpose, he assumes this person's identity. And it is from here that our Ludger Cherish, a reincarnated person, is introduced as the new professor at Sioran Academy, a place to teach bright new minds to the world of magic. We initially have to take this at face value though, as we do not know what our Professor Ludger's purpose is for being at Theorn, for taking over the identity of the professor, and whatever other machinations that he may have. Is he a hero, a villain, or something else entirely? The story so far is an 8 out of 10. With an introduction that leaves you with a lot of questions, for those that like to have some sort of foundation to lean on for a story, it very much lacks in that department. Although in its wake, it leaves a sense of mystery and curiosity with regards to the situation and character that we are following into this academy, seemingly undercover. The characters are 9 out of 10. Considering the context of Ludger's current situation, the academy has a lot of people to introduce, from students, other teachers and staff, to other persons of interest for Ludger. All characters, of course, Ludger included, will have to take some time to truly delve into their purpose, motives, and personalities. The art is 8 out of 10. Clean and neat would be the two words I would use to describe the art style this manhwa has. It has clean environments and backgrounds that evoke enough familiarity that things are not too foreign, even if it is a fantasy manhwa. In addition, with its neat character design, details, and overall look, it works quite well in tandem with the clean illustrations. So if you're a fan of action fantasy manhwas that have a school life aspect to them but are curious on how being a teacher for said academies could be like, then the Academy's Undercover Professor would interest you. This next manhwa to look over is I Abdicate My Title of Empress, a completed fantasy manhwa that I've read to completion, which is 96 chapters for its main plot. The protagonist of this manhwa is Adelaide Kotrov, the eldest daughter and crown princess of the Empire of Kotrov. From a young age, Adelaide has had an immense love for her country and people. This love was so great that she established a group whose sole purpose it was to protect her countrymen from threats they dubbed Towers. Think modern fantasy type structures. Due to rising tensions and political powers trying to use her for their own political schemes, Adelaide decides to leave the empire to be married off to the Egmont Empire, which takes months to travel to. As she arrives, she learns that the Emperor of the Egmont Empire already has a lover. Will everything be alright, or did she just move from one headache to another? The story is 8 out of 10. Considering it's already complete, I Abdicate My Title of Empress is a story about politics, love, and sacrifice. There are clearly a lot of things on Adelaide's head as she enters into her new home. Considering the strong personality that it would take on to be responsible for protecting her countrymen, it's an interesting and fulfilling tale that doesn't overstay its welcome. The characters are 7 out of 10. With the geopolitics of the region being both large and small in a sense, there are quite a number of characters. Don't expect to remember a bunch of people, but instead be heavily focused on only a few of them. Those that are focused on have some circumstances of their own that Adelaide will have to tangle with. The art is 7 out of 10 as well. Given it's an art style that is quite clean and sharp, the characters themselves have a very noble air to them that enhances the overall vibe of the manhwa, given that Adelaide is royalty. So if you're a fan of completed manhwas, specifically those of a romantic fantasy style and the somewhat shorter length doesn't bother you, unless it's a plus, then I Abdicate My Title of Empress would be worth taking a look at. The Delivery Man from Martial World is the name of our next manhwa. It's a modern manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 69 on. Kang So is the name of its main character. Known as the martial god within his realm world, he was somehow transported to a modern-day Earth one day. This Earth, though, is more like the typical modern action fantasy manhwas that I've covered previously on my channel. Now understandingly confused and completely lost, Kangso has to navigate this new world. Fortune favors him though, as when he just transported, he saved a little girl. That little girl's parents took to paying him back by giving him a job as a delivery person for their restaurant. Are you ready for a fun time following the martial god in a modern setting? Be prepared for the fastest jjajangmyeon delivery ever. The story is 6 out of 10. Nothing truly fancy here, the overall plot isn't complicated. Various things will come to make life a little inconvenient for both Kang-so and his newfound family, but of course, Kang-so is quite the powerful being, so there is truly nothing to worry about. Maybe? The characters are 8 out of 10. Kang-so being so overpowered in the action sense, of course this would mean that he has to grow in other less violent aspects. His new family, though, are kind and understanding and give Kang-so very much a reason to be happy and enjoy his newfound second chance at life. And you know for sure he's not letting anything get in the way of that. The art is 7 out of 10. With satisfying action, warm meals, and an overall positive and kind atmosphere, the manhwa is a feel-good journey that is masked by modern action fantasy tropes. Of course, it also holds its own, so it's an enjoyable time. So if you're a fan of the typical modern action fantasy manhwas but want mixed with a little bit more light and fun positive atmospheres similar to The Heavenly Demon Will Give You a Massage from my previous videos, then the delivery man from Martial World should feel right at home in your reading list. Our next manhwa to look over is The Academy's Genius Tamer, a reincarnation manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 40 on. The focus of this story is on Han Siha, or more specifically, a Han Siha that knows that he is a minor villain in a novel that he read in his previous life. Fated to no longer be a part of that world considering his role in the novel was quite minor, Han Siha now tries to avoid this fate and no longer be part of the original storyline. And thus, he embarks on his journey to become a tamer, albeit a little forcefully. Originally known as a dark magic fanatic, hence his original role, he will have a lot of catching up to do to ensure that he's not used as a tool. The story is 7 out of 10. Given the reincarnating into a novel as a minor villain, this manhwa evokes very typical tropes that you would usually see in this genre. If you are a fan of that style, then the overall direction and pacing will work for you. If not, then there are others that start off on a better foot. The characters are also 7 out of 10. From the 40 chapters I've read, there isn't really a solid foundation for what I suppose to be the main characters are. Considering that Siha joined in the academy, he has enough of a background in the novel, of course, that he's able to make things beneficial for himself. Overall, it hasn't tripped up yet, but it hasn't made things notable either. The art is also 7 out of 10. A clean, simple, cute, and comedic style that honestly would be the main reason to draw you in if you aren't a fan of the reincarnation into a fantasy novel genre. It delivers an overall solid illustration that can keep you entertained for a decent while. So if you're a fan of the reincarnating into a fantasy novel genre and want something that seems similar to Lout of Count's Family, which was labeled as Trash of the Count's Family from my previous videos, then make sure to give The Academy's Genius Tamer a shot. Another week, another highlight. For those unaware, this is the section of the video I update impressions for manhwa that I previously covered. Today's highlight is Musician Genius Who Lives Twice, which I've now read up to chapter 52 on. Info card in description will have links to my original opinion. Our matured yet aspiring Kim Han-young has been trying to live a more meaningful life given that this is his second shot at it. Even when taking over another body, his love for music is as strong as ever. With new avenues to discover in the modern world, Han-young has taken some time to acclimate himself and even start a MeTube channel. Yeah, it's pretty obvious what it's supposed to be. One other notable point is being able to meet friends and other people from when he was Kim Han-sok, even revealing himself to be Han-sok to one of his most closest friends was one of the oh moments so far. Otherwise, it's a more lighthearted overall feeling. My previous scores for this manhwa were both 7 out of 10 for potential and art. The art stays the same at 7 out of 10 as that same uplifting, positive, and overall light atmosphere stays the same and portrays feelings that effort and not giving up are truly important. The potential though translates to a 5 out of 10 for the story as other than the initial introduction and some slightly unexpected events happening here or there, it doesn't have a lot of tenuous stakes involved. If you're a fan of slower slice-of-life plots, then don't take this score to heart. As for its characters, it's translated to 8 out of 10. From old friends as Han-sok to classmates and other friends as Han-young, there are a lot of meaningful and potentially rewarding relationships that Han-young will be a part of, even so far as revealing his secret to one of his best friends. It's heartwarming to see fruitful friendships that can stand the test of time. Musician Genius Who Lives Twice was initially interesting but now has transitioned to be a more lighter and comfortable manhwa to read when I'm not in the mood for more serious and intense characters or plot. I would recommend it for those that just want a taste of something else if you've been primarily reading more involved stories. Would you agree, or would you not? Comment down below your thoughts on Musician Genius Who Lives Twice. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, as it really does help out the channel. Write in the comment section down below what manhwa you've been reading and I might just take a look. Till next time though, have a good read.